In this video, we're going to take a look at some interesting retro tech issues I've encountered, including the death and eventual rebirth of my Amiga 500. It's been a crazy few months, both for my retro projects and my life in general. Today we'll see why my Amiga 500's been out of action for several months, and we'll take a look at a Mac SE Superdrive that I picked up for restoration for Macintosh. We'll also look at a couple new acquisitions and puppies! Last fall, I set up the Amiga 500 for a retro gaming session with an absolute classic, SSI's amazing Eye of the Beholder that I haven't played since back in the day. While I was playing the intro, the screen suddenly went black. Nothing I tried would bring back the RGB output, but I did find that the monochrome composite output was just fine. I tried everything I could think of to restore RGB video, including reseating the socketed chips, checking the current limiting resistors and capacitors on the video circuit, and probing the outputs on the video port with an oscilloscope yielded nothing that looked suspicious. At this point, I started to suspect that my issue was my relatively new open source scan converter and not the Amiga 500 itself, but buying another OSSC just to test this was out of the question. So what I decided to do was try the RGBtoHDMI board that many people recommended early on, since I already had a Raspberry Pi Zero on hand to use with it. This board installs in the Denise socket on the Amiga 500's main board, then the Denise and a Raspberry Pi Zero connect to it. Software on the Pi is then able to output HDMI based on the signals straight from Denise, resulting in very low latency. The only real problem, and the reason I went with the OSSC instead of the RGBtoHDMI solution in the first place, is that the RGBtoHDMI does not include sound. So you have to deal with that separately, which is a pain when I'm trying to capture. Currently, I send the audio out to the RetroTink 2X Pro and use a second HDMI capture card just for the audio. Once everything was set up, I powered it up and bazinga! Color output on the first try. Now I can finally get back to that classic gaming session I've been pining for. Sometime in the next couple of months, I plan to get an Amiga 500 video out detailing its final restoration and the installation of a Gotek drive so we can button it up and get to the main course, the Amiga 3000 battery leakage repair. Now, November was a really tough month for us. At about the same time that we had a wood carver coming to help us transform some very ugly dead trees into works of art, we lost our best friend, Bella the Boxer. We had planned for years to get a chainsaw carver out to do this, but we ended up with 7-time world champion wood and ice carver Chris Foltz entirely by chance. But that's a whole nother story. It was really nice to be able to immortalize Bella in the totem, including her penchant for looking for rocks at the bottom of the river. We also had a little Easter egg added that I think you'll appreciate. Last month I picked up a Macintosh SE Superdrive from a local seller. It looked really good on the outside, but once I got inside, I immediately knew this board would never run again. Time to pivot. So I'll see about fixing the issues I'm having with my SE30 using the analog board from this machine, if I have to. Along with the Mac, the seller also threw in this Texas Instruments TI-99-4A and a sweet little Zenith Amber monitor that I thought at first glance was just an old black and white TV. Hey, it even still works. Mostly. My other projects are really starting to pile up. This week I finally got in the last part I needed to build a Retro Chip Tester Pro. I've been collecting parts for this thing for months. I also got a 3D printer kit that needs a good chunk of assembly time, so I won't have to lean on Tom as much for panels and other retro repair parts. The thing is, there's been some major distractions in my life for the last few weeks. Not that I mind. This is Agnes and Denise.
No, Uncle Mike, it's Luna and Tala, not Agnes and Denise.
Oh. Right, yeah. This is Tala and Luna. They're a couple of sweethearts that seem to enjoy the shop, so expect a few cameos in the future. I have lots of other projects in the works and hope to increase the video cadence in the next few months after a long-delayed vacation later this month. I hope you enjoyed this video, and here's another one you might like. So I'm missing my Bella. So since you stuck around, you get a couple Bella jokes. How could you tell that Bella liked somebody? They were breathing. When somebody asked me if Bella was dangerous, I would respond, only if your water is soluble. I miss you, puppers.